Harlan and the Stars, Part 1. March 14th, the year 4221. Zintra. Artemis Prime. Specialist Harlan M. Stoneheart. Fort Cat was home to Project Artemis. The desert was large enough to house the enormous ship, home to 26 pods holding the sleeping colonizers. Criminals, soldiers, scientists, and ordinary people would await a new world to save all of Zintra's kind. Or at least a speech given to recruits and hopefuls by the government, the Balark, running the planet into the ground, scrounging resources, neglecting citizens. Being lowborn meant being drafted, and to my pleasure, I accepted. Upon graduation from Fort Sweetword, having spent 6 months studying and learning my MOS, I was stationed to Katki. I was returning home to be with my family for a few months and buying a Mercury watch and tablet, which I am writing, capturing these entries now. The bullet arrived at Izon Station, and I said farewell to my family, and that if all went well, they would join me. Harlan and the Stars, Part 2. Boarding the craft was tedious at best and not the most fun experience. Soldiers checked every bag that came across the line, whether civilian or adorned with spare silver military tags. The Bullet was a large bus consisting of 3 tiers. The mid-floor is reserved for soldiers and staff calling it home and duty, along with maintenance and pilots for the craft itself. As we found, seats afforded a lovely view of enlisting the signs of cacti and red sands, I looked down from above and saw that my parents had left the dock as I boarded. "Attention, passengers, this is Pilot Andrews," said the intercoms above our heads inside the headrest of the chairs. "Please turn off all tablets and frequency watches, as well as all teledevices for departure. We thank you for your cooperation and a safe journey with us upon the Bullet." That's the end of this entry. I'll hopefully be back for more. Harlan and the Stars, Part 3. March 26th, year 4221. ZF. The Artemis Prime, Specialist Harlan M. Stoneheart. It's been a few weeks since my arrival. I had placed my bag on my bunk, lost in the world of machinery and pipes. I was calibrating cryogenic and cryotherapy procedures to offer a smooth transition from start to finish. I am to be briefed at some point. "Hey, where do you think we will land, Harlan?" asked Sergeant Miles Griffin. He was a gruff older gentleman, having served countless years before me, claiming that only the best engineer would be assigned an upstart like myself. It was difficult at the start, yet he grew on me. "Not even a guess, Sarge." That was all I could think to say. "Amuse me, Harlan," chuckled Miles. He went back to tinkering inside the walls. "These condensers are boring me fiercely." Harlan and the Stars, Part 4. It's going to be run by giants and elves, maybe built by dwarves in halls of obsidian, I guessed loudly. I focused most of my attention on configuring the controls on the panel before me. I spent the first few nights reading various manuals to understand the operations. The interfaces at training were very obsolete compared to this. Maybe even the days of kings high atop castles will kill our presidents. Harken back to a new world to days long gone. Sarge laughed at my statements and how dumb they sounded. His mouth twisted as if he was to reply, but no sound was uttered from him. Instead, a loud metal boom echoed from behind the pod's walls. From deep within the depths of machinery came a gentle hum as if the air conditioning had turned on. As a cold breeze began to permeate the room, rapidly cooling our breath as we frantically looked about, watching as mist and fog seethed from behind the trunks of sleeper pods that dominated the pods. Harlan and the Stars, Part 5. "Harlan, quick!" Miles yelled at me over the humming. He was pointing to the cluster closest to me. I threw my hands up in confusion, not understanding what I needed to do. As if reading my mind, he jabs his finger with gusto. The exhaust valve in the center is open and disconnected. Damn, engineers never finish their job when testing the trunks. Panic filled my heart as anxiety clouded my already tired mind. It had been a bit since I had gone behind the trunks, and that was when there was only one attached pod. I hoped at every second that I would succeed and not disappoint the sergeant. Sweat beaded on my brow as my eyes stung from concentration. I was straining against nature as I twisted between two sleepers. I was stretching farther than normal, trying not to block my view of the large valve wheel. I was looking through the aperture while my fingers on the metal. Using all of my strength, straining and grunting, using the first knuckles grip to turn the wheel. Harlan and the Stars, Part 6. With a yell, the valve spun loosely in its stem, wobbling back and forth as he turned it closed. Having found it open to its fullest extent, listening to the hissing fading away slowly. The room temperature leveled out and rose as the machine's heat won. Relief washed over me as I lay strung behind the sleeper pods. My feet flapped their laces against the leather in the main room. Attempting to push free was a mistake rewarded with pain. My elbows stuck in the narrow, slim crevice as the adrenaline wore off. The muscles in my upper arms had swelled, lodging me inside the confined space. I told myself to remain calm as I willed my nerves to steel themselves. Though as hard as I tried, I couldn't hold the instinct back as fear crept like daggers into my mind. I was sending my heart into the warlike throes of panic rhythm, rivaling a hummingbird's beating wings. Harlan and the Stars, Part 7. Lashing with my legs in a frantic attempt to get free, causing loud clanks and clamor as my boots connected with hollow compartments and thick plating until I made contact with something pliable that groaned loudly. "Oi! Stoneheart, calm down," shouted Miles. Gripping me tightly, he yanked me free from confinement. A fit of guttural coughs followed the effort, knocking Miles on his ass. "Good job, Specialist." Nodding, I saluted to him and thanked him, the tips of my pointed ears red hot. I felt the blood pulsing through sore muscles and small scratches from metal edges. Harlan and the Stars, Part 8. March 28th, 4221 ZF. The Artemis Prime. Specialist Harlan M. Stoneheart. The sergeant grew worse every day as he hacked up a lung from his cigs. He was leaving me in charge of the others when he needed rest. As the world changed outside, it seemed the worse his lungs got. He was puffing on a cigarette as he coughed gently into his hand occasionally. The afternoon waxed into its twilight as gusts of wind blew in from the south. Sergeant Miles let us go early from our duties. We were trudging around the Atlas, inspecting each aspect of what needed finishing. Paper scratched as he made a mark with a pen. "Go, enjoy the town," he told us, waving his hand as if to shoo us away. "Never know how long we have left on Zintra." Harlan and the Stars, Part 9. Leaving Atlas took more effort than it should have. I'd poured countless hours into making it work. Blood and sweat were spotted all over as I labored. Though my choice, I went lax on hobbies and personal time to ensure a safe journey. Especially as the last 2 days were mostly repairs. Unforeseen damage as the Artemis Prime accepted the pod's docking. Minor electrical shorts and fires afflicted almost all of the 35 pods attached. From the exterior, it looked as if our stations were mere babes suckling on their mothers. 4 days remained before launching an excursion to save our planet from death. Every dwarf, elf, and human was allotted space on the vessel. Outriders and settlers ventured into the expanse of unknown black starlight. Outside was full of noise and commotion. Soldiers rushed past, going from post to post as per duty, ferrying supplies from tents for medics and civilians.
Even from supply tent to supply tent, evening out provisions ensured every pod was equal. The most noise came from the large apartments next to the pods.
Harlan and the Stars, Part 10. Trucks and caravans brought in men, women, and children of all races and origins. Rugged mountaineers mingled with soft seafarers and everyone in between. Seas of red, browns, and blondes flowed like a river from the guts of buses. Stoic soldiers ushered and pointed to tables beneath half-enclosed tents, watching as from there the people got sent to different buildings with families and belongings. I'd much rather be tinkering in a machine than with all those people. Deciding I had enough of the influx of passengers, I left the precipice. I was following the paths and seeing parts I had never seen before. Armaments lined the armory's walls, and I heard of bullets in metal containers and crates. A curious smell that was vastly different from gunpowder filled the air. "Excuse me, where's the mess hall?" I asked a soldier walking by. A crate of cylinders and circular metal tubes weighed down his arms. I took a wrong turn, it seems. She looked annoyed at my inquiry while she eyed me up and down. Her brown eyes stopped to rest on my chest's lack of crisscrossed arrows. "Yes, specialist. Pass me down to the right. Through the corridor. Just follow the smell once inside it." Doing her best to stand at ease as I passed by, she hurried off as quickly as possible into one of the adjacent armories. To the best that I could, I tried to follow directions, realizing at once what she meant by following the smell. The scents of honey and rosemary were coupled with raspberries and blackberries and vinegar. I didn't tarry long in the cafeteria or the halls. I waved back at my crew as they were enthusiastic about their acquired table. Shaking my head politely, I grabbed my to-go carton, leaving for my own apartment.